everybody. I'm Reese, and on this episode, the Introverted Nerd watches Season 3, Episode 6, Saved by the Bell, Blind Dates. This episode. I say that every week about this show. Like, this episode, these fucking people. This is a whole episode about Kelly's birthday. Or about the things that Zack will do to go to Kelly's birthday party. A bunch of shit that he doesn't have to do. We're going to talk about Zack and his problems. So, right off top, go to Apple Podcasts because it's not called iTunes anymore. Subscribe to the podcast. Leave a 5-star review. I will read that on the podcast. Thank you, Rod from the Black Guy Who Tips, and Karen. What did I say? Subscribe to the podcast. Leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Stitcher, Google Play, all that shit. I'm everywhere. You can't get away from me. Find me somewhere and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter. At TI Nerd Pod. I am live tweeting Black Lightning because I'm podcasting about that shit. So when you subscribe, you would know that because you would get the new episodes every Friday about that week's Black Lightning. But Black Lightning is lit, and you have to follow me on Twitter so you'll, be a part of the fun. Join us. That show was really great. And I live tweet The Flash too, but that is not so great right now. The last 2 weeks have been let's not talk about The Flash because that's not my happy place right now. Follow me on Instagram at The Introverted Nerd and like my Facebook page, facebook.com/The Introverted Nerd. Okay. So, blind dates, y'all. It's only about one blind date. Well, yeah, because it's one blind date and another blind date that Jesse refuses to go on. So there's only one blind date in this show. But it's called Blind Dates because they talk about blind dates a whole lot. Like I said, it's Kelly's birthday week and she's supposed to be having a birthday party. I thought Kelly was broke. I keep coming back to this because she's supposed to be destitute. She had to give her father, her dickhead dad took the last, I'm going to say $200 for her to buy a prom dress. He took that back from her. She couldn't afford to go to the prom. Zack had to take her to sit outside the prom window. And so how's she having a birthday party? How can she afford this type of birthday party? I mean, it's at the max because these people only know school, home, and the max. So when they're not at school or at home, they're planning to have all of their big life events at the fucking max. So, I mean, I guess that's how she can afford it. Max is not a good businessman. So Kelly could get a hell of a deal for having her birthday party at the max. So, who the hell knows? Oh, one more thing before I get way too into this episode. I am drinking this salted caramel tea and it's so fucking good. I don't know why that I whispered that, but it's good. I freaking love it. It's by Bigelow and Tazo or Tazo. I don't know how you pronounce it. It's the tea that they make at the tea that they have at Starbucks. It's Tazo. Is that how you pronounce it? Tazo. I'm going to pronounce it Tazo. But I'm drinking the Bigelow kind, but I also have the Tazo kind, here too. But it is so good. and it's like really cheap. It was like $3.99 or $2.99 for the box of tea, but it's so good. I just wanted to say that because I don't drink coffee. So, and I don't drink coffee-based drinks because they're nasty. I don't like the taste of coffee, which is why I don't like pumpkin spice. We're going to get into this because I have no self-control and I have to tell you all about it. So, my favorite Starbucks drink is the venti green tea latte with soy milk, unsweetened. That's my favorite drink of all time. My favorite hot drink of all time at Starbucks. And since I don't drink the coffee-based drinks, like I can't drink the pumpkin spice latte. That just tastes really disgusting to me. I don't know whether it's the pumpkin or whether it's the coffee that's in it, but it doesn't taste good to me. I don't like it. I tried it over the winter, and I'm sorry, I cannot be that white woman. Pumpkin spice, ew, nasty. No. But salted caramel, I do like, but I believe at Starbucks, it's coffee based too, so I don't like that either. So I found the perfect thing. This is, this salted caramel tea. It has caffeine in it. It's black tea. It has caffeine in it. And it tastes really good. And I put a little bit of almond milk in it, but I have to go get some like almond milk creamer because maybe that would be better. But this tastes good like this. I put a little bit of agave in it and some almond milk. Some vanilla almond milk, and it tastes so damn good, and it's so much better than your nasty coffees. Yes, so I just wanted to say that it tastes good. So everybody go out and get this Bigelow or Tazo salted caramel. Well, the Tazo is just caramel tea, like what is it, vanilla caramel tea, and the Bigelow is salted caramel. They're both good. You can't go wrong either way. So that was my recommendation for this episode. Everybody follow what I do. I will never lead you wrong. I know food. I know foods and I know drinks. Trust me when it comes to that. So Kelly's birthday. Poor Kelly. But maybe not so poor Kelly. Maybe her dad got a job now. She doesn't mention it. And she hasn't gotten a job. She hasn't gotten her job at the Max. But she can afford this birthday party. So I'm going to keep my eye on that. We're going to keep investigating because I want to know Kelly's money situation. So we start this episode with Zack getting his 9th detention. We find out that 10 detentions, when Zack gets his 10th detention, that's an automatic 1-week suspension, which I don't think is a punishment for Zack because his whole deal is trying to get out of school. So, a 1-week suspension for Zack, rich Zack, is like, oh, you're giving him 1 week a vacation. So he gets his 9th detention, his 9th detention, and he's laughing about it, but he's like, so what if he has to have Mr. Belding sign it, and Mr. Belding explains about the 10th detention, and he's not worried about it but he doesn't want to get his 10th detention because he doesn't want to get into trouble, but he gets in trouble almost instantaneously, like right after this. We should have just started with his 10th detention because he gets the detention for passing notes in class. And this is where Jesse and Lisa come in, because Jesse and Lisa are talking about Kelly's birthday party, and Jesse doesn't have a date. Lisa said she was born with a date. She's got a whole thing. Lisa always has like guys, boyfriends or dates, it's always off screen. So, and when we see him, it's most definitely always going to be generic black guy, good looking generic black guy. But we don't see her date. She has a date. Just be aware that Lisa always has a date. She has a date to go to the supermarket or something like that. That's what she said. And she's trying to set Jesse up on a blind date. And this is where Slater comes in. And this is where my whole attitude about Slater is just throw my middle fingers up and fuck you, AC Slater. Fuck you up and down this episode. Fuck you. Because Jesse, for once, is not being a super bitch. And they're just, she and Lisa are just talking about the whole dating situation. And, you know, Slater comes out being nice and like, well, why do you need to go to Kelly's party with a date? Why can't you just go, you know, together? Why can't you just go on your own? What's the big deal? And Jesse follows suit and was like, yeah, Lisa, why can't I just go by myself? You know, it's not a big deal. And she's being like nice to Slater. They're like having like this nice moment where they're agreeing with each other. And then out of nowhere, Slater says, Jesse makes some comment about, you know, who he's going to the party with. And he's like, well, he's going on his own. But he's like, well, when a guy goes to a party on his own, it's because he wants to go on his own. When a girl goes to a party on her own, it's because she can't get a date. And I was like, God damn it. Like, Slater, I try to like you. I try to see eye to eye because you're one of the two people of color on this show, and I want to rock with you, but no, I cannot. Fuck you, Slater. It's like, oh my God. And Jesse is like, Jesse can't come back from that. She has like a stupid like quip coming back, but what he said just burned her so much. And it's like, and he basically he should have just looked at her and said, thought you had a friend, didn't you? Because that's what it was. They were getting along, and then he's like, fuck you. And it's just, you know, she can't come back. But Slater's whole thing in this episode, he looks like such a punk in this episode. Oh, he's so terrible. So his thing is that we see Kelly and Zack are sort of being cute with each other in the hall, and Slater's standing on the sidelines looking salty. That's what you get, you punk ass. And he's looking at them all salty, wanting Kelly for himself. And Kelly goes away, and he eventually talks to Zack, and he tells Zack that yeah, you know, I'll eventually get Kelly back. It's just a matter of time. And I'm like, wait, hold up. Stop the music. When did you ever have Kelly, Slater? Somebody explain that to me. You went out. Have they gone out on a date? I watched so many of these episodes like back to back. I can't remember. Somebody tell me, has Kelly ever gone out with Slater up to this point? I don't think so. So he's just a creepy stalker at this point. Slater. I can't with him. So Zack laughs at him because Zack is a sociopath, a serial killer. He's all the terrible things, but I'm on his side in this episode. Well, for some of this, I'm on his side against Slater in this episode. That's what I'll say, because he's got his own problems. So Zack, Slater's a bitch. We move away from there. They go to class. Kelly, I keep saying Kelly. Lisa and Jesse start passing notes back and forth in class. But they both sit basically in the front of the class. Jesse sits in the front seat. Zack sits in between them, and Lisa sits in the third seat. They're right in front of the teacher. Why are you passing notes then? Now, I used to pass notes in school. Not that much, though. I was not a note passer in school. I used to talk to people. Well, people used to talk to me. People used to talk to me in class. But I sat far enough back in the class that I didn't get caught very often, or we didn't get caught very often. So I didn't have these kind of problems, but that was like middle school shit. I was not a no passer in high school. Yeah. I don't know what they're doing. They're too old for that. But these two dummies start passing notes in class. I'm like, but why can't you wait until after class? They're talking about the date that Lisa wants to set Jesse up on. Is this can't wait until after class? Like, Jesse, how are you sitting? Jesse's supposed to be the smart one. She's supposed to be one of the smarts. How are you passing notes when you sit right in front of the fucking teacher? Tell me that. Explain that to me. I'll wait. Somebody explain it to me. It's so stupid, and it only exists so that they pass the notes through Zack. Zack is the conduit. He passes the notes, and he gets caught both times, and he has to read the note. And they both say something. They both say something about the date, so it's I guess embarrassing because gay. I don't know. It's about the guy that Lisa's gonna set her up with. So I guess it sounds like Zack is gay or something. I don't know. It wasn't particularly funny, but I don't know. The studio audience thought it was funny. So, what do I know? Obviously nothing. I watched this show. I'm obviously not that bright either. So, Zack gets his 10th detention. He gets sent to Mr. Belding's office, and Belding is talking to his wife about his niece Penny. And we see earlier in the episode that Mr. Belding is just walking around the school asking random dudes if they want to go out on a date with his niece Penny. Really? Is that a thing? Now, I've gone to visit relatives. I mean, I none of my relatives are principals or teachers that I went to visit, but I've gone to visit relatives out of town. I have never had them try to set me up on like a date or to set me up with friends to send me somewhere so I have something to do. I've never had that happen. So why is he doing it? Why is he just asking random boys in school if they want to go out on a date with his niece? That's just so weird. So Mr. Belding needing a date for Penny and knowing that Zack is fucked. He basically has Zack by the dick, and he's going to suspend him. And that we're going to pretend that Zack has good parents who discipline him at any point in his life. And they're going to be mad if he gets suspended. So Mr. Belding sees his opening to get Penny a date, and he blackmails Zack. And he tells Zack, he rips up his 10th detention slip, and he tells Zack that if he goes out on a date with Penny, that he'll forget about the detention, and they're basically even. And he's supposed to go out with her on Friday night. So Zack actually calls him out for trying to for blackmailing him. But I don't know, what do you do when your principal wants to blackmail you? You're Zack, you can't go home and tell your parents, because what are you going to say? I fucked up in school. I got 10 detentions. I'm going to be suspended. But my teacher is blackmailing me. My principal is blackmailing me into go. Like, why would your parents even believe that? Like, if you're Zach Morris's mom and dad, you have to know that your son's a piece of shit, right? No. I'm answering my own question. No, you don't know your son's a piece of shit. Or you do know your son's a piece of shit, but you don't care. He's your baby, so you're going to stick up for him. Zach's an only child. Oh, yeah, I got his parents all figured out. Yes, he has those parents. The parents that are like, that go up to the school and are like, no, fuck that. My kid can do no wrong. I don't want to hear anything about it. Zach is perfect. Yep, figured him out. It's the caramel. It's the salted caramel tea. It's got my brain going. I got all these people figured out. I should have wrote this show. I got all this figured out. And they're doing so many revivals of shows. When Saved by the Bell is eventually has a revival, I should be the showrunner. So NBC or whoever owns this show at this point, contact me, contact the Reesnick on Twitter at TINerdpod, and I will handle this because, yeah, I'll handle it. So Zack agrees to go out with Penny on Friday, and he meets Kelly in the hallway, and Kelly's like, oh, what's the matter, Zack? And he's like, nothing. He's like, he doesn't want to tell her what's going on, I guess. I don't know why he doesn't tell her, because at this point it's like, it's nothing. But he's like, I can't wait for your party on Saturday. And she's like, nope, my party's been moved up to Friday because the Max was overbooked. What? Okay, how many events is the Max hosting on a weekly basis? And how does this even work? Kelly booked her party for Saturday. Her party is coming in, I'm guessing, a few days. It has to be a few days. They're not saying like a week, but her party is coming up in a few days. And all of a sudden they changed the party to a whole other day. So I'm assuming she sent out invitations. How does this work? What is this madness? How does this even work? But okay, Kelly, we'll go along with this. Well, I mean, she only has like 6 friends, so I guess you don't need to send out invitations. You just go to the other 5 people you hang out with, or the other 6 people you hang out with, and tell them, hey, my party's been switched from Saturday to Friday night. And I don't know, that's it. I guess word travels around Bayside pretty quickly. You can save money on invitations and all that shit. You just, I don't know, tell Lisa. Lisa's the gossip. You tell Lisa, she'll spread the word about the change of date on the party, and everything's fine. So it's like, oh no, Zack is double booked. He has a date with Penny Belding, and he has Kelly's birthday party. What is a boy to do? A boy decides to get his loser friend Screech to pretend to be him and go on a date with Penny Belding, because the way they'll recognize each other, the blind date part of this, the way Penny will recognize who Zack is that he'll have when he walks into wherever they're supposed to meet, he'll have a red rose or a yellow rose or something like that, some kind of flower to make him identifiable to her. And since she doesn't know what he looks like, he can just send anybody in his place, and he can go to Kelly's party and everything will work out. But of course, he decides to get his not very bright friend Screech to do this. So he teaches Screech how to do his walk, which it's not his walk. This is not a walk that Zack has used at any point, and it looks stupid. I can't even describe it. It's this really weird walk that's supposed to look cool but doesn't look cool. And I guess you're supposed to think like Zack is the cool one and he's pulling it off, but neither one of them look cool doing it. So it just looks like this weird, it looks like he has a weird hitch in his step. And he's teaching this to Screech, and he's teaching Screech how to throw his jacket over his shoulder, and how to, like, they do this nod thing where it's so weird. And it's supposed to be like, you're supposed to think that Zack looks good doing this and Screech is the weirdo, but no, it doesn't look good on anybody. This was not a good look for either of them. So Screech is Zack now. Zack is somehow Slater. Oh, I know. This is the other weird thing that Slater does in this episode. One of the many weird things that Slater does. So when Zack goes to Screech to tell him that he wants him to go on the date with Penny Belding, he does this in the boys' bathroom. And Slater, when Zack explains his whole plan for what he wants Screech to do, Slater is standing up on the toilet in the bathroom stall. And, Zack explains his whole plan. And then Slater, when they leave, Slater peeks up out of the stall and says, I'm so happy I sit up on the stall. But Slater was standing up on the stall before Zack and Screech got into the bathroom. So what was Slater doing? What the was he just standing up on the toilet waiting for people to come into the bathroom? Was he waiting for Zack to come into the bathroom specifically? What was Slater doing just standing on the toilet in the bathroom stall? Slater's into some weird shit. He's a creepy bathroom person. Somebody should have been looking into that, because I have to go back and watch it, but I believe Slater was already standing up on the stall before Screech and Zack walked into that bathroom. I'm almost positive. So this is, oh my God. Okay, Slater's a weirdo, and he's into, like, stay away from Kelly. I'm not even the hugest Kelly fan, but I want Slater to leave Kelly alone. Leave Kelly alone, Slater. She's not interested in you. She's just not that into you, dude. So this is where Slater enacts his plan to try to get Kelly away from Zack, or to help Kelly bust Zack so she'll break up with him. I don't know. Just find another girl. Find any other girl. There are 2 other girls that that are in your friend group, since you all are going to be, I don't know, commingling that way, and like within your own friend group. Jessie and Lisa, very pretty girls. Lisa's my type. Lisa's who, I say you should get with. But Jessie is a pretty girl too. Like Slater, it is time to move on. Kelly is pretty, but Kelly ain't all that. Like, can we be for real for like 2 seconds right now? Kelly is very pretty. I don't even think these are Kelly's best years. I think Kelly looked better when she was on 90210. And what's her name? Tiffany Amber Thiessen. And I don't think she used the Amber anymore, but she was Tiffany Amber Thiessen at this time. So I'm going to call her Tiffany Amber Thiessen. Anyway, I think her better years were on 90210. I'm just saying. I mean, people can disagree with me, but I'm right. You're wrong. And that's just my opinion. I think she was better looking on 90210. So, whatever. The whole point is Slater needs to move on. So he, of course, Screech is a freaking idiot. Slater talks to Screech and convinces Screech that Kelly would be so upset if one of her best friends missed her birthday. So it would be, he tells Screech that he should bring Penny Belding to Kelly's party so that he won't miss it. Of course, Screech does what Slater says, and he takes Penny to the party, and that's where, I don't know, shenanigans ensue. So while all this is going on, the blind date that Lisa is supposed to set Jesse up on, Jesse doesn't want to do the blind date thing. She wants to see the guy first. So if you want to see the guy first, if you want to pre-meet, then you're not really going on the blind date, right? Blind date is when you just meet blindly. So if they just met at the party, it will be a blind date. But what Jesse wants to do is not a blind date. What Jesse wants to do is pre-meet him and then go to the party with him. So Jesse is like having second thoughts, and she doesn't want to do the blind date thing. So she has this daydream about being on like the Match Game with Zack as the host, and she has this weird like thing where she thinks that she's going to get like the worst kind of date. And so she the three guys that are part of the date are Teddy Krueger, and it's a dude named Teddy Krueger who's dressed up like Freddy Krueger with the hand and everything. He just the knife glove and everything. He just doesn't have the burnt face. But it's supposed to be Freddy Krueger, so I don't know why they don't just say Freddy Krueger. The next person is Mason Voorhees, who's supposed to be Jason, and it's just like Freddy. He's wearing the Jason mask. He's just named Mason, and Screech is Donald Trump. That like harshed my buzz. The Donald Trump reference. It's just Donald Trump. And they didn't even give him a different name. Why didn't they just, I don't know. Whatever. Saved by the Bell, not known for its comedy or wit or creativity, because, and how is this even, I assume they changed the names so that it wouldn't be like a legal thing, but they dressed them up like the actual characters. So I don't know. Whatever. This prompts Jesse to say, fuck that, Lisa. I want to meet this guy. Set us up for a pre-meeting, which I guess the pre-meeting would be the blind date. Whatever. They meet at the Max, and they have this whole moment, and they eventually get to the point where I think Jesse has an orgasm. Okay. The dude's name is Brett that Lisa sets her up with, and he's, I don't know, he turns Jesse so on. He's 40 years old. He's got wrinkles on his forehead. I think he has gray hair. I swear the dude is not a day under, I'm going to be generous. He's not a day under 36. Dude is old. And I'm serious, he does have wrinkles on his forehead, and he's wearing a grandpa sweater. It, I don't know why Jesse is into him at all. But okay, he hits all the Jesse, I don't know, likes and a dude, and they eventually start staring. They're like giving each other like come hither looks, and they're breathing. Jesse starts breathing hard, and eventually Lisa walks over, and Jesse is like, oh, and she does like that thing where she like lets out this like breath, and she starts fanning herself like, is it hot in here? And I'm like, are they trying to say that Jesse had an orgasm just looking at this old man? I don't know. Everybody else watch it. Tell me what you think about it. But it's it's this weird thing where it looks like she has an orgasm just looking at this guy. So she invites him to the party. And he accepts. And eventually they both stand up, and we see that he is not only an old man, he's about a foot shorter than Jesse. So Jesse has a whole thing, and he sees that Jesse is taller than him. He's not bothered by it. He's happy to go out with her. And Jesse is like, oh shit, no. And she tells Lisa, I liked your guy. I liked him. He was, cute. I had an orgasm sitting there in that booth, but he's just too short. I want to break off the date. But I don't think that Lisa follows through on that, because that guy shows up at Kelly, or Jesse doesn't follow through and tell him that she doesn't want him to go to the party, because he shows up at the party. Oh, I know what happens. Lisa and Kelly act out this whole scene where they basically trick Jesse into going to the party with this guy, because they let her know that she looks like a real dick not going out with Brett because he's short. So everybody's at the party, and Jessie refuses to dance with Brett because she doesn't want to be taller than him. She thinks they look stupid together. Slater, who is it? Screech and Penny Belding show up, and Screech is wearing a wig. So Penny's obviously not that bright either, because she's looking at Screech in this very obvious wig. I mean, you can see his hair. You can see his hair on the side. And she is just fine with this weird guy walking around in an obvious wig. And she's really into him. At one point, she says that he's so hot, he makes her teeth sweat. This is another instance of Saved by the Bell writers trying to come up with these like cool sayings. Like they're trying to come up with like these cool turns of phrase that kids would say, but it ends up just being something stupid that they came up with. I put this not quite on the level of when everybody in the episode was saying that, you should wave a skunk in front of somebody to let them know that they suck, that they stink. So I put this a notch below that, but not that far below, because this is not good either. This is not funny. And this is the only time they say it. So they didn't try to make it a thing. They let Penny Belding say it, and I don't know, I guess they thought that was all they had to do. Or maybe they heard me from the past. They got transmission from the future. They heard me say how much I hated the whole wave the skunk in front of the person thing, and they they made this so that Penny's the only one that says it. Look how much influence I have. And so what happens is Slater's trying to set this up so that Kelly discovers what Zack did by, he's supposed to be on a date with Penny, and he sets it all up so that Penny and Kelly come into contact with each other. And what was I about to say? I forget what I was about to say, honestly. And I'm not going to edit that out because I don't feel like it. Penny, Penny talked to Kelly, and eventually Penny lets it be known that she's here with Zack, and she's saying things about Zack, but she's really talking about Screech, of course. And Kelly figures everything out without really being told the whole story. And Slater is standing there like the Greek chorus behind her, like, yeah, Kelly. When Kelly confronts Zack, Slater is standing behind her, like being really weird about it, not trying to be discreet at all, not trying to wait until Kelly gets really mad and tells Zack to fuck off. He's standing a foot away from her. He's standing he's not even standing a foot away from her. He's basically standing right beside her when she confronts Zack. And she's telling Zack to, Zack, tell me the truth. Like, what's going on? And eventually Zack explains himself. And he tells her about, the detention. And he says he just didn't want to miss her party. And I was actually, I didn't want to be happy about this because I don't like it because, okay, Zack should have just told the truth. I don't understand why his first instinct in every case is to lie. He could have told the truth and everything would have been fine. And this is okay, I am also a liar. Okay, that sounds bad. I have been known to lie like everybody else, I'm sure. I'm not like a liar. I'm not a Zack level liar, but when I lie, I'm good at it. Zack's not even good at it all the time. Zack's a terrible liar, which is so crazy because his first instinct is to always be telling lies. If you're going to be a liar, be good at it. So Zack eventually tells the truth when he could have done this at the beginning of the episode and everything would have been fine. He would have been out of detention. He wouldn't have gotten, his detention suspension. He wouldn't have had to go on a date with Penny Belding, and he could have still gone to Kelly's party. Everything could have been as it is right now without one single lie, except to Mr. Belding and Penny. Who cares about them? He could have just lied to them and everybody else would have been fine. So Slater gets played because Kelly's like, oh, this is the sweetest thing that ever happened, Zack. Oh, I can't believe you did all of this just so you could come to my birthday. And this is when DJ Khaled shows up and says, you played yourself. That's when he tells Slater, you played yourself, because he did. Oh, it was so sweet because, like I said, I'm on the fuck you Slater train. And Kelly forgave him. Oh, it was so great. She shouldn't have forgiven him because, Zack's he's a liar. He will always lie to her. She cannot trust him. She shouldn't trust him. But I don't know. I was on his side against Slater because Slater was just such a dick in this episode. He was so terrible. So Zack is forgiven. No lessons are learned because Zack will never learn a lesson. He is a sociopath. Everybody should stay away from him. What happens with Jesse is eventually Old Brett wants to dance. Jesse doesn't want to dance, so old Brett goes to dance with Lisa. And Lisa gathers Jesse after she talks to Brett and says, "Hey girl, you're being an asshole. Dance with this guy. Get over yourself." And eventually Jesse does. And Jesse's dressed like a fucking grandmother in this episode. I don't even no, that's an insult to my grandmother. I think my grandmother has style. She's just like, why is she wearing what she's wearing? She's wearing this long, like, Amish woman dress. And this is no insult to the Amish, but that was just the first thing that came to my head. It's just a long, weird dress, and and a blazer. She's just so unstylish. And she's got on fringe like Lisa, but she can't rock the fringe jackets like Lisa can. So she should just stop. So eventually she dances with Brett, and she apologizes to him for being, a dick. And, he says, okay. He tries to stand up on a step so he can be the same height as her. And she says that makes her feel stupid. So he stands on his, on the same level as her, and they start dancing. And then she does this thing where she tries to lean. She tries to put her head on his shoulder. She does put her head on his shoulder, but it is such an uncomfortable angle for her to be. The bending she has to do to lean her head on this dude's shoulder is just out of control, because he is honestly he's about 6 inches shorter than her. I said he was a foot shorter than her earlier, but he's a good length shorter than her. I mean, I believe he's a little bit taller than her shoulder, but not that much. And the way she has to lean over and bend to put her head on his shoulder, she could have just put her head on top of his head and it would have been better. But the lean that she has to do, her neck is like, is like a swan, because that's the kind of bend she has to have in order to put her head on his shoulder. It is the most out of control thing that you will ever see. And I don't know. I don't even know why Jesse goes through all this trouble. I mean, she doesn't have to do all this. We'll never see Brett again. I don't even know how Brett knows Lisa. Lisa is rich. It would have been more believable if Kelly set her up, because Kelly being the poor. But Brett is supposed to be like Lisa's neighbor or something. But we find out Brett is in a private school. He's on like scholarships and everything. You find out dude is not like in the money. So how's he living next door to Lisa? I don't know. It doesn't matter. Brett will never be seen again. Jesse just did this so that so people couldn't call her a hypocrite, and they couldn't say that she didn't live that she's a better person than she actually is. So Kelly has a birthday. She forgives Zack. Slater is, I don't know, Slater's just fuck you, Slater. And Jesse and Lisa and everybody else lived happily ever after until the next episode, where Zack will probably ruin all of their lives. Whew. And that is the end of the episode. Oh, this episode. So, fuck you, Slater. Everybody else, follow me on Twitter at TINerdPod, and at the Ms. Introvert. It's THEMS Introvert, because that's where I live tweet. Follow me on Instagram at The Introverted Nerd, and like the Facebook page, facebook.com/The Introverted Nerd. And please subscribe to the podcast and leave me a 5-star review. I will read all that shit on the podcast. And until the next episode. The next episode will be It'll be this episode, I believe. Yeah, you'll be listening to this on Wednesday. Way back Wednesday, I like to call it. Because I didn't want to do a throwback Thursday. So I did way back Wednesday. I'm very creative. So until next time, everybody. Later.